I think lunch is only a few minutes away, is that right, Sarah? Or is it here now? Or just... Yeah, so what we might do is just finish up with any last sort of questions and discussion on all of that, and then we'll break for lunch, and then we'll come back and talk about harvest weed seed control. I don't know if you want to do your thing now, Ben, or do you want to just, before you do that, you've been asking questions as we've gone, is there anything else?
Yeah, one question, going back to the concaves.
Yeah.
Interrupter bars, what are your thoughts?
Interrupter bars, if you need to. So if you've got, back in the old days when we were trying to harvest blade wheat with these things, they didn't work, and we had to either use interrupter bars or we had to use filler plates, one or the other. I preferred filler plates, but only for a portion of the concave, and I would fill it so that those smashed up heads that were unthrashed didn't fall out before I got to give them a chance to rub them. That was the only thing. Interrupter bars are okay, except generally you'll put them in and take them out, and they don't wear at the same rate as your concave, so they're never the same height as your concave. That then is a challenge, because they then form the new thrash or the new rub face, and that can be a problem. So yeah, I'd rather use a filler plate. So, but that's just a preferential thing.
When you say filler plate, what are you doing? Blanking off the wires?
Yeah, so what I do is I'll actually put a plate over the top of that on the inside so that the material can't fall through, but I'll only do it to hold material in. So if you're getting part thrashed heads that fall straight out, I'll go and stall the machine and have a look, and if they're under the front concave on the right hand side, I know that that's where they're coming from. And then I'll go and I'll fill that in to my pinch point so that that material can't fall through, and then it gets one rub, yeah, they all disappear. Because you get, on early machines, we get cracked grain and whiteheads all in the same sample, and you just go, what am I chasing? Do I fix the cracked grain or do I fix the whiteheads? I can't hit it any harder and I'm still getting whiteheads. So, not so much of a problem now, they let you put more of them in, but they used to be nasty.
What are those helicoil concaves?
Helical concaves work well. They usually thrash really hard. So I have had guys with helical concaves that have cracked grain issues, but then once you move the concave across and gentle it all up, that problem goes away. So I reckon any concave works. We were talking about Murray Skaman before, weren't we? I was talking about Murray. Yeah, so Murray's Skaman concaves, they are hard. They'll belt the living daylights out of anything. You can turn one of these things into a flour mill if you wanted to with his concave. But the good thing is, it works. So they just don't wear as well as the standard case concave because of the way they're hardened. So, and the helical ones work well because of the shape.
So you're talking about filler plates. The John Deere's have those blanking plates which you've put on one side of the rotor to even up the shoe load.
Yeah.
What's the go there?
I've never been a fan because as soon as you start closing off your separation area, you then increase your rotor loss. So I'd rather find another way, and I'd been talking to a couple of John Deere owners about making a kit to move the concave, and we looked at the engineering feat and went, we're not going there. So I did have a friend of mine whose brother runs a couple of Massey's, and they moved the concave and had very, very good results with those. So so that's a possibility too.
So Ray Harrington's idea, and he's a case owner, so he take it with a grain of salt, but his idea was rather than blank off one side, why not open the other side a little bit? Is that a reasonable thought?
They make a blank off kit, and neither of these have got them in. But in a lot of places, every header comes out of the service department with those blank off plates on them. And the first thing I do is take them all back off.
Oh, that's on the top of the rotor cage.
Yeah, on the top of the rotor cage. Yeah. So, and I don't know if you guys have seen inside a 250 yet.
No.
Yeah. When you look up here, directly above your concave or your cage, that floor's gone, and they've sealed all of this up in here. So they've removed that floor, so you can actually get up there and undo the bolts and work on them. So, yeah. Whereas your John Deere, when you have a look inside it, there's no holes in the top of that cage. That cage is sealed off. So you've really only got what you've got at the bottom. And they don't separate as well. So your challenge is getting it out of there. So, yeah.
What about the adjustable vanes, Brett? In the 250s?
Yeah, we talk about them a lot. I've never seen a gain by changing the vanes. I've played around and played around and played around, but I've never been able to quantify any gain from it. I can make them worse by slowing them down in some cases. They have a tendency to over thrash. But if you ever get the opportunity to have a look at Case's video about Harvest Command, they show you the machine operating with all of the different things that are going on, and as he goes uphill and downhill and all this sort, you see all the adjustments moving. Now they move those vanes depending on the direction that the machine is operating. Right, so that does it. Computer does it. And you go, how does that work? Well, when he's going uphill, it actually slows them down so that the material doesn't run out the back. When he's going downhill, it speeds them up. So the material travels through the cage at the same rate, apparently. So, yeah. Anyway, the guys that have got it reckon it works, so.
You don't happen to have a little cheat booklet for your basic setup, do you?
I do have a document that has it on it.
$5 grand for you, Dowie.
Alright, we'll just put it on lower nomination. Because my biggest issue is barley, especially with Planet.
Yep.
It comes up as sieve loss, but I reckon it is rotor loss. How would you set up your concaves? What would you run?
I
In a
would
3 ton
run-
barley crop down here.
I'd run a small, a large and 2 large skips, and I'd run my concave as far to the right as I could get it. And fill that darn thing up with spike bars. And I know it works, because when Wes sent me a photograph of his screen and it says 56.5 tonnes an hour, and I went, yeah, that'll be alright. So, yeah.
So those spike bars, they punching holes in the straw.
Yeah, they're just going around doing that, and they're just cutting holes in that crop mat as it goes through. If you've ever stalled one of these things and you have a look, you can't push your finger into the straw. They are really packed in tight. You've got to do everything you can to loosen that up and spit that grain out of it. And the only way you can do it is break it up.
I've had a go at putting them in the front, spike bars.
Yeah, there's a
Obviously
problem
re-zero
with that.
Yeah, you got to re-zero it.
And then that spike sticks up yay far. So how do you thrash it?
I couldn't.
No, that's the
you
trouble.
can't put it.
The only time you put them in there is in rice. So the rice machines have them in the front.
No, I did 15 minutes.
Yeah. 2 hours.
I was going to say, tell us about how many hours to change it.
And how itchy I got. Yeah, it's fucking awesome.
While we're talking about these, there was a Lexion owner in the South Stirlings who, when he bought his Lexion, the German guys were across and they promised they were going to bring a new concave out. So this was this M10 concave. Anyway, he kept at me, he wanted this concave, and I kept telling him it wouldn't work. Right? No, got to have it. And he badgered me to the point I said, fine, I'll put the bloody thing in your header. I said, when it doesn't work, don't friggin' ring me. I didn't even get back to Bluff Knoll. And he was on the phone, get this damn thing out of my header. It's rubbish. And I said, you know what?
You know how long that took me to put in there?
I'll see you in a week. Yeah. Yeah, well, it's an 8-hour
done.
job. You know? I said, I'll see you in a week. What? So we went back the next morning and took it out. But, you know, the thing is that, you know, what should work doesn't always work. So, yeah. That was the critical learning factor.